This teen soared to fame lip-syncing and dancing on TikTok. Her upbeat message, "Hey, I love you." Ava Majuri has 1.2 million followers. But her fame on social media turned into terror when she drew the attraction of an 18-year-old fan.
He started asking for booty pics and feet pics.
He discovered where she lived, and to her horror, she says showed up at her house in Florida with a shotgun at 4:30 in the morning and fired through her front door.
Fame, it's sought after by so many up-and-coming teens. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and many more social media platforms all catering to young teens, who post challenges, dances, and sometimes other less than savory content. All in the hopes of one day becoming famous. This is the case of one teen who blew up on TikTok when she was only 14 years old. Having viral success from just her first few posts on the TikTok platform seemed great at first. After reaching a certain success level on these platforms, though, all the inherent dangers, pitfalls, and basic depravity begin to reveal themselves. This would undoubtedly be the case in the Ava Majuri story. You have to watch all the way to the end to fully understand just how deep this story goes. Believe me when I say this story is much deeper than the surface headlines.
Before diving into this further, you are tuning into Coffee with History. If solved, unsolved, heroic, or just plain mysterious is your thing, make sure to join us as we go back in time and discover the past. On this channel we will post about anything we find notable. We are always up for suggestions, just drop them in the comments. For a chance to be featured in future videos if we end up covering your subject. Without further ado, this is today's harrowing tale.
The Ava Majuri story. As Ava Majuri began gaining attention and fame on TikTok. At such a young age, she would rely mainly on her parents to make financial decisions garnishing her career. Her father, Rob Majuri, was an ex-police officer for the New Jersey Police Department. Kimberly Sue, Ava's mother, completed her studies at the University of Southern California. The family moved to Naples, in Florida, after Kimberly Majuri, Ava's mother, finished her degree, prompting her father to retire from his position in law enforcement. This family would seem normal enough on the outside. It's when I did a little more digging I found out some very disturbing matters dealing with the Majuri family. On or around Ava's 15th birthday, things would begin to take a different turn for her in the form of second sources of income. One of these incomes, besides just diversifying and beginning multiple TikTok accounts to increase her amount of revenue per posts, was a rather bizarre and offbeat form of social media marketing, which would come in the form of selling obsessed fans' personal photos for money. This would be orchestrated by the behest of her father, Rob Majuri. That's correct, her father, the ex-police officer, reached out to these guys, even playing the role of his daughter on the messages, and negotiating prices of each photo. Once agreed, the obsessed fan would pay via Venmo to Ava's account, and she, or her dad, would then send the photos requested. The Majuri family states they only sent photos of past TikToks already posted online. This seems a bit like covering tracks than it does the truth. Why would someone pay for photos they can see online? Therefore, to me this seems to be bogus, and something more sinister is at play here. However, as there is no inconclusive evidence to back these claims, it's only speculation at this point. Nevertheless, I still believe this to be a very valid point to bring up while discussing these specific photos and so-called extra revenue. Ava has two brothers, Evan and Logan, ages 17 and 11. She and Evan attend a public high school where much of student life revolves around social media. In early 2020, after Ava noticed Justin pursuing her for attention on TikTok, Ava learned that friends in New Jersey and Florida were selling him photos of her, as well as her personal information, including her cell phone number, which Justin used to call and text her. In another instance, Justin logged onto a classmate's school account and did math homework in exchange for information about Ava. Even with the outrageous overreaching from Justin pushing for personal information, Ava contacted Justin, letting him know not to go through her friends, instead just buy it all from her directly. "I wasn't sending anything of my body," Ava then said. "It was just pictures of my face, which is what I assumed that he was paying for. My whole thing on TikTok is my pretty smile, that's my content," she's noted, saying to the New York Times. She said Justin paid about $300 for 2 photos, via the Venmo digital wallet app. After that, Justin messaged Ava on Venmo with a breakdown of what he would pay for booty pics, and photos of her feet, stuff that a 14-year-old shouldn't be sending, Ava would be quoted saying. She then blocked him on all her accounts. In Venmo messages viewed by The Times, Justin pleaded with her to unblock him, sending $159.18, then $100, and finally $368.50 with the message, "Sorry, this is all I have left. I'm broke." Rob, Ava's dad, said he texted Justin's cell phone, told him that Ava was a minor, and demanded that he stop contacting her. At that point, Justin's efforts turned sinister. In a series of text messages that made their way to Ava, and which the Marjorie family showed the New York Times, he asked one of Ava's male classmates whether he had access to a strap or gun, shared plans to assault Ava when she least expected it, and wrote, "I could just breach the door with a shotgun, I think." When Ava learned of the threatening messages, she called the classmate who had received them. He confirmed that he had gotten them, and forwarded others to her. Fearful, she showed her parents. They researched Justin's identity, saw that he lived hundreds of miles away, and reassured her that he was one of these keyboard cowboys, Ava's dad would say. On July 10, 2020, these messages would be something that would manifest into much more than sinister, than just a boy being a keyboard cowboy. Justin would make the trek 1,095 miles from his hometown in Ellicott City, Maryland, to Naples, Florida. The entire time, mentally preparing himself for what he was making the journey for. Later that day, after his arrival in Naples, Justin would use the information he had previously purchased to find Ava's house. After surveying the house, and donning a bulletproof vest, armed with a shotgun, Justin approached the front door of the Marjorie family's home. Ava's bedroom was just inside the door Justin blasted open. "All I remember was, I heard it, I felt it in my chest, and I looked up, and there was a hole in my door from the fragments." Ava then ran through a connecting bathroom to her brother's room, clutching a blanket, water bottle, and her cell phone. Mr. Marjorie bolted from bed and ran shouting to the foyer, where he said debris still floated in the air. Mrs. Marjorie followed, dialing 911 on her phone. Outside, a gangly teenager wearing what looked like a blue Walmart worker's vest, protective earplugs, and safety glasses stood on the front lawn. He turned to escape, and Mr. Marjorie sprinted forward but fell, gashing his knee. The gunman paused, struggling to clear his jammed weapon, then ran away. Mr. Marjorie retrieved his handgun, and was standing at the front door awaiting the police when Mr. Justin returned. Mr. Marjorie said he ordered the teenager to drop the shotgun, and when he instead pointed it at him, Mr. Marjorie fired. The 3 Marjorie children had retreated to their parents' bedroom in the rear of the house. Ava's older brother, Evan, turned to her in panic and fury. "This is all your fault," he said. The subject was most likely a stalker that resulted from her daughter's extensive social media involvement, the Collier County Sheriff's Office report read, citing statements to them from Mrs. Marjorie. Since her daughter's involvement with social media, multiple subjects have attempted to ascertain her family's address in the past. Mrs. Marjorie provided them with contact information for Justin, the report said. The Marjories said police told them that Justin was carrying 2 cell phones that contained thousands of photographs of Ava and hundreds of hours of her videos. The gunman's identity was confirmed by his father, Justin Dominic. Mr. Dominic, a software engineer who is divorced from Justin's mother, said that before the divorce the family had lived in the United States, and then had moved to Mr. Dominic's native homeland in India. When his parents split up, Justin chose to move back to the U.S. with his mother, his father said, recalling their move as around 2015. Mr. Dominic, who said he had spoken with investigators, recalled his son as a good student who did well in math at Mount Hebron High School in Ellicott City. "He was a nice kid. I'm at a loss for words," he said in an interview. "I don't know what went bad with him. He made a bad choice." After the shooting, it would appear that life would return to normal for Ava and the Madgerys. Not long after the incident, she would be attending a trip to L.A. for multiple sponsorship opportunities and meet and greets with some other high-end influencers. Mr. Madgery said he was advised by the police that under Florida's Stand Your Ground law governing justifiable use of deadly force, he was not subject to prosecution. But just to be safe, he contacted a lawyer, James Scarmozzino, to represent him. Mr. Scarmozzino connected the family to other lawyers who organized a business centered on Ava's potential earnings. Michael Marino, an entertainment lawyer in New York, created an enterprise, AGM Creations, for Ava, and signed an agreement with the Madgerys for a percentage of future revenues. Mr. Marino turned to a friend, Lanny Davis, a Washington lawyer and crisis manager whose public relations firm is now representing Ava. The same boy who received Justin's messages about his plans to attack Ava still attends high school with her. In December, Ava told her parents that he was following and watching her. The family visited the high school to report the matter. Last month, another classmate sent her a video the boy had made of himself firing a gun at a shooting range, her mother said. Unnerved, Ava withdrew from school this month and now attends class from home. Ava is still on social media, with her parents' support. Mrs. Madgery said she did not want sick individuals to force Ava off the platforms. "Why should we allow them to stop her? Maybe she's meant to bring awareness to all this," Mrs. Madgery said. Ava has not told her followers what happened. "I don't want it to go out negatively and people think I attracted him," she said. "This family to me is trying their hardest to turn everything that pertains to this poor girl into a money-making situation. This to me is another prime example of what money can do and how the love of money can affect your brain." Matthew 6:24. "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and money." How can someone, especially your dad, promote selling so-called selfies to over-obsessed fans? This and all of the actions taken after the fatal shooting seem to be aimed at one thing. That's making money and protecting it. This is the darker side of TikTok fame. Tell us in the comments what you think. Was Justin just a bad person all around, or was he led on and enticed by the family and Ava herself? Thank you for joining us here at Coffee with History. Since you made it this far, hit that like and subscribe button for multiple uploads weekly. Now check out some of our other videos by clicking one of the links above. Thank you all and God bless.